Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like.
We looked at the images once they were processed. It was absolutely amazing. I remember I was sitting there with my colleague from the MPS, and we were just staring at it, and it was absolutely fascinating because it looked like nothing we've seen before, really.
So it is remarkable to see such artistic form emerging naturally from the physics of the sun. And this is the feeling that I always have when watching, looking at astrophysics images, not only the sun, but the general astrophysics images. Many times it reminds me of the feeling that nature has its own brushstrokes.
Welcome to Fearen Fear File. What I got here is, let me see, UFOs, aliens, and strange encounters. So, without further ado, let's get to the video.
We have an interesting video coming out of Arizona. This was captured on around August 3rd, the night of August 3rd, during a monsoon storm. His name is Juan, and he captured something weird at his neighbor's house. What appeared to be these unusual lights beaming from the backyard. The thing is, everybody was asleep. There was no party. There was no strobe light. None of that was going on. There shouldn't have been this bright light. But then what he sees behind the pole is what sends he and his daughter running. Watch the video in full. Take a look. Let me know if you see anything. Comment below.
What the hell is that? The neighbor said it fell from the sky. I'm gonna go check it out.
Over there.
Hold on. Wait. Oh shit, what is that? What the hell? Oh shit, what is that?
Do you see an alien? Was poking out around it, watching them. But is it a trick of the eye? Is it our brains playing tricks on us? Take a look at both. You comment below and tell us what you think. Was there a UFO crash landing at his neighbor's house? And did he capture an extraterrestrial? Be sure to comment and let us know what you think.
pot stai să schimb imaginile mai multe? E între Peretul și Troianu. Bă, fratele, și sunt și singur aici. Dacă dispar, să știți că m-au furat extraterestri, frate. Mă vede ăștia că-i filmez? Mă, ce-i cu aia acolo, frate? Eu îmi mișc asta că, în cazul în care zice cineva că filmez, că e vreun trucaj, măcar să vedă despre ce e vorba.
According to the person, the landed UFO was somewhere between 700 meters and 1 kilometer away, but it was clearly visible that something unidentified had touched down. There was nothing else around, just this huge black UFO sitting in an empty field.
I received this video from an anonymous submitter that claimed that this is the footage he reported in the Miami Mall interdimensional beings situation that had happened. Now, he told me to pay close attention to how the beings are changing shapes because this is not their reality. They came through a portal from another dimension, through a portal that a group of teens was able to open from an Xbox. And I heard that they learned this from off the internet, how to open up portals, and when they did, these beings showed up inside the mall, and everybody went crazy, and the cops showed up, and they made a cover story about teens fighting. But that allegedly was not the truth.
What the is that? What if reality itself slips for a second, like a glitch in the system we live in?
What the hell is that?
Some videos capture moments where things don't behave normally, turning ordinary scenes into something strange. On a cold night in Portugal, a quiet street camera captured something deeply unsettling. A man walked casually down the road, and without warning, he simply vanished. No transition, no fade, just gone, leaving behind a faint mist-like trace. Seconds later, another man in a long coat appeared out of nowhere in almost the same spot. Authorities reviewed the footage, but couldn't identify either individual. The timing felt too precise to ignore. It didn't look like editing or a trick. Instead, it gave the eerie impression that one presence was replaced by another, like reality briefly swapped characters mid-scene. Inverted car. One night in Malaysia, onlookers were left stunned by a car hanging upside down in mid-air. It wasn't falling, spinning, or supported by anything visible. It just hovered there, completely still, defying everything we understand about gravity. People gathered, expecting it to drop at any second, but it didn't. The clip ended before anything changed, leaving the moment unresolved. What made it more unsettling was how stable it looked, like it belonged in that position. Scenes like this don't just confuse people, they challenge the basic rules we rely on, making reality itself feel unreliable. Faye's dog. A man playing with his dog experienced something that completely broke logic. After tossing a ball beyond a metal fence, he expected the dog to stop or go around. Instead, the dog ran straight through the fence as if it wasn't even there, grabbed the ball, and came back the same way. No bending, no damage, no hesitation. It didn't react like anything unusual had happened. The moment was quick but clear. Situations like this leave people wondering if solid objects are always as solid as they seem, or if sometimes boundaries in reality briefly stop existing altogether. Frozen NPC. A driver passing through a street noticed something that didn't make sense at all. A man on the sidewalk was stuck mid-motion, his body twisted awkwardly as if frozen during a roll. He wasn't adjusting, breathing visibly, or reacting, just completely still. It looked exactly like a paused animation in a video game. The longer the driver watched, the stranger it became. No one else seemed concerned. The man stayed locked in that unnatural position for far too long. Moments like this make people wonder if time can glitch for individuals, or if sometimes reality simply forgets to keep everything moving. Frozen flight. In Indonesia, people spotted a bird suspended in midair in a way that didn't make sense. It wasn't gliding or flapping its wings, just completely frozen in one position. Even birds riding wind currents shift slightly, but this one didn't move at all. The situation became so strange that a rescue team was called to investigate. They tried reaching it, but it was too high. By the time people returned later, the bird was gone. Moments like this leave behind a strange question. Was it ever truly frozen, or did something briefly interrupt how motion works? Frozen herd.
My horses are frozen in time.
One rainy afternoon, a woman checked on her horses and found something deeply unsettling. Every single horse in the field was completely still, not grazing, not shifting, not even flicking their tails. They looked like statues placed across the land. The silence made it even stranger. No wind, no movement, nothing to break the stillness. She recorded the scene, unsure of what she was witnessing. Moments like this create an eerie feeling, as if time itself paused for everything in that space, leaving behind a frozen snapshot of reality that shouldn't have lasted that long. Living photo. Someone flipping through an old photo album noticed something impossible. One of the printed pictures wasn't still. A child's hair in the image was gently moving, as if a breeze was passing through it. But it was a physical photograph, not a screen. No animation, no tricks. The movement was subtle but consistent. It made no sense. The image was still running quietly in the background. Frozen dogs. In the Cotswolds, a couple walking their dogs experienced something deeply unsettling. Without warning, both dogs froze completely still. Not alert, not reacting, just locked in place. The environment around them continued normally. Leaves moving, wind blowing, but the animals remained frozen for nearly 4 minutes.
You could see the leaves moving and all the bushes. The dogs were completely still.
Then suddenly, they snapped back to normal the moment a bird flew past. It felt like time had paused for them alone, while everything else kept running. A brief desync in reality that corrected itself without explanation. Floating tap. One man filmed what looked like a floating tap hanging in midair, pouring water continuously. There was no pipe, no wall, no visible support, just a faucet suspended in space. The water flowed naturally, splashing onto the ground exactly as it should. He even walked around it to check for hidden structures, but from every angle, it looked completely unsupported. It wasn't flickering or glitching visually, it was stable, consistent, the kind of scene that doesn't just confuse you, it forces you to question how something so ordinary could exist in such an impossible way. Endless walk. During a skiing trip in Alaska, a couple noticed a man walking down a slope in a very strange way. His legs kept moving forward at a steady pace, but he wasn't actually going anywhere. It looked like he was stuck in place while performing the action of walking. At first, it seemed like he might be slipping on ice, but his posture didn't match that struggle. He appeared calm, almost unaware. The repetition made it feel less natural and more like a loop. Moments like this create the unsettling idea that movement itself can sometimes desync from reality. Floating car. A driver was going about their normal day when they suddenly noticed something that made no sense at all. Up ahead, an old car wasn't driving or parked. It was floating. No wires, no visible support, just suspended in midair, as if gravity had completely stopped applying to it. Even stranger, it drifted slightly, almost like it was gliding on an invisible platform. This wasn't some futuristic vehicle either, just a regular, older model. Moments like this make people question reality itself, as if the rules we rely on can occasionally break or fail without warning. Sky grid.
Look, are they moving?
In Tulsa, pedestrians stopped as the sky transformed into something unreal. A glowing grid pattern appeared overhead, with square shapes blinking in and out across the horizon. It lasted nearly 20 seconds, long enough for people to record and react. The formation looked too precise, too structured to be natural. Some believed it was linked to secret projects, while others thought it resembled the framework of a simulated world being briefly exposed.
Anything like that in my life. It's gone.
Whatever it was, it didn't behave like clouds or light. It looked organized, almost mechanical, leaving behind the unsettling idea that reality might have layers we're not meant to see. Cat loop. In Millsboro, Delaware, a man recorded dozens of cats gathered around a manhole, all walking in a perfect circle. They didn't stop, didn't break formation, just kept moving as if stuck in a loop. This continued for hours. The next morning, the same thing happened again in the exact same spot. The repetition made it feel less like animal behavior and more like a pattern repeating itself. There was no visible reason for it. It created the unsettling impression that something invisible would match. Lingering question about identity. And TV stayed contained, almost controlled. Tension, not randomness. It felt less like a natural phenomenon and more like something that appeared briefly, moved through the scene, and then disappeared without leaving any physical evidence behind. Spinning tree. It happened in New Zealand when a driver captured something that shouldn't be possible. A tree, firmly rooted in the ground, was rotating slowly as if it were mounted on a hidden mechanism. There was no loose soil, no flooding, nothing that could explain the movement. Trees don't just spin, especially not with deep roots anchoring them in place. The motion was steady, controlled, almost mechanical. Some tried to rationalize it as an underground structure, but nothing confirmed that. The sight led camera. The ball appeared to slam into the crossbar and bounce away. But at the exact same time, another angle showed